Oh, I just gotta laugh because we don't see anything ever like this unless it comes out of Hollywood. Supposedly we have these thousands of satellites that orbit the Earth, the ball Earth, right? You never see one of these things melt down and just crash, right? Never, you know. We're gonna explore some of the impossibilities of why satellites do not orbit the Earth. And how come NASA never shows us a picture of this ball Earth and you never see a single satellite in the picture? Talking about really needing to Photoshop. You know how hard it would be to Photoshop all those satellites supposedly orbiting the Earth? Now, the clip that you just seen was from a movie, Triple X 2, the newest one. They came out about 2016, 2017, I'm not sure. Anyways, I watched that movie and that's the opening scene, and it blows my mind that people don't use their heads enough to look at, I mean, the ridiculousness of the fact that you don't see that. You don't see these so-called satellites, okay, orbiting the Earth. NASA doesn't show you pictures, and there's supposed to be thousands of satellites. It's pretty crazy to think that that's how many satellites they say we have up there. See, most people don't realize that. They just, NASA's telling everything they say is the truth, right? They don't believe it, but they don't even really understand the way the model works. They don't realize that we're supposed to be shooting through space at millions of miles an hour while being pulled by the sun and doing orbits around it. It's just crazy to think all that is going on, yet these little tiny things are locked in because the world loves its god called gravity. Locks them in perfect place and it just holds them there. I mean, seriously? Come on, guys. Time to wake up. So part of looking into the cosmology of our world, I was, thinking at beginning, well, how is it possible that satellites even exist? And part of a true researcher, you have to really take your time and do your researching. But yeah, satellites do not exist in orbit, but they do exist in life. Here's an interesting conversation I came across between a guy named Victor and Rob Skiba on how true satellites actually exist and work.
So anyway, in preparing for this launch, basically we were looking for an antenna, or actually I was looking for an adapter specifically. I already bought the antenna from the company. The company is called Elcom Global Communications. And essentially I was on the phone with this person about 25 minutes into the conversation. We were looking for, this guy was very thorough and actually really helpful. And I'm talking to him and he's like, so I'm assuming you're using this with a drone. And I said, well, normally that would be correct, but I'm actually putting it on, communicating with a balloon with it. And he said, oh, that's really interesting. And we kept talking. And then he goes, you by any chance aren't associated with our confidential client, are you? Which is just a weird question in general. I was like, okay, this is, how are you starting this out like this? And I'm like, okay.
That company that's...
And I'm just like, my antennas just start going, I'm like, what the heck is this? And so I said, no, no, I'm not, but I really wanted more information. I couldn't go, well, who's your confidential client? Please tell me, I couldn't do that. So I'm racking my brains, I continue on like it was nothing, and then I'm like, well, because this is the absolute truth. We're having trouble with procuring a balloon we were working with Raven Aerostar at the time, who basically completely stopped communicating.
No, this is the same company that did the Red Bull jump.
Red Bull jump, and they've done all Project Loon's balloons.
Okay.
I know that, right.
So we were originally trying to get a balloon we were trying to get a balloon from the same company that did the Red Bull jump, but it didn't work out.
It did not work out.
They're never returning phone calls.
Exactly. It took forever to get a hold of them. When I did get a hold of them, she's like, oh yeah, we'll get you a balloon. Cost $3,000, and initially she quoted me $100,000 or more for the altitude we wanted, and I said, okay, scratch that. What can I get for $8,000 or under? And she goes, well, we have a sounding balloon, which is the exact same balloon we're using basically, for $3,000. And I said, well, I'll take that, because I wanted as high quality as I could get, and really didn't mind spending the money. But she's like, all right, I'll work up a purchase order. I said, great. Never heard from her again until like 4 weeks later. She's like, sorry, we've got this massive order. She's like, we've got, all of a sudden our volumes jumped, which is right after, and a whole other thing,
talking
to a colonel in the Air Force. And so anyway, long story short, we're talking to this guy at Elcom, and he basically ends up saying, I say, we need to find a balloon provider. Do you know who provides the balloons to your confidential client? Because we'd love to purchase a balloon from him. And he goes, he like stops, like this is one of those awkward pauses, and he goes, I would tell you if I knew. That was what he said. He said, but suffice it to say, there are tens of thousands of balloons above us right now, and we supply all the communications for those boys.
Tens of thousands of balloons above us right now, and projected to go to what, hundreds of thousands?
Yeah, that's what I learned from the colonel.
An Air Force colonel.
They petitioned. They recently received like basically a notification that 150,000 to 200,000 more balloons are going to be released by somebody, and we're assuming it's Google because that's probably, kind of But 150,000 to 200,000 is just insane. Like
10,000 balloons are above us right now already.
That's a lot.
With projected to go to hundreds of thousands.
So, and I think that's already done. I think they've already modified, and I'm pretty sure that's done at this point.
Well, and that's, what type of span of time? Is that like per year? Is that per...
Well, they're reusable. Yeah. What the colonel told me is every 3 months, basically one descends. The Air Force puts high priority on picking it up.
They pick it up. They got it like a plane that has like a scoop kind of. And then they acquire the payload,
and then they return it, and they refurbish it, and resend it up.
And then send it back up again.
Every 3 months. It was cool. Look at this. You can see where they're hovering. You want to see? This is something
the plot thickens.
Things that make you go,
Yeah. So this is cool. This is from our laser spot that I've been scouting out. But that's our balloon launch from the laser spot.
Oh, so that was your last test?
That was the last test. Yeah. So we're gonna go.
See, so we're gonna have telemetry that will show what our balloon is doing. Afterwards, we can map it out like this.
Oh, yeah. Go back to that, Victor.
So, yeah, this is where we're launching from. This is out here at my buddy Andy's house. That's the runway. And the first ping didn't come out until, I think it was, it was like 3,000 feet or something before.
I love that, man. That's so awesome.
Or maybe it actually was a lot less than that. But, yeah, this is really cool. So, you can see the wind took it. It was doing 130 miles an hour in here. And, like, it was cooking. But this is what's really cool. This is what we saw.
Then it took off.
Well, it looks like it took off, but it slowed down. These each one is an increment of 1 minute.
Okay. But it hit a certain point. It slowed down, but it shot up in altitude.
Exactly. Wow. So what's interesting? This is what Google's using to control their balloons. This is called a tropopause. All right. And this is where the balloon will it slows down and it circles, and they rise and fall within that area to hold position. Wow. So it'll come back down. They'll drop it. It'll circle around. And rise back up, and they just do that for 3 months at a time. And that's called the tropopause. That's what they're using to control their balloons. It's really fascinating.
Like you said, things that make you go, Now, it's really important that you don't just take my word for it, you do your research. That's one of the most important things. Don't take anybody's word for it. Look into this for yourself. Obviously, there's a lot of naysayers out there. Just pay them no mind. Do your study, do your research. Like we in the community say, research flat earth. The reason why is because this is one that ties all of the other conspiracies together, and there's some that you just really got to get rid of because they don't. It really in a sense debunks some of these outrageous conspiracies at one point that I know I used to believe, and now that this truth has come out, I realize that those things you know, real truth debunks false gossip in a sense, right? But I can go on and talk about this all day. I really enjoy doing these videos and helping to reach people to the understanding of the cosmology of our world. I mean, it's changed my life in so many ways. But what's funny is that you can't write this stuff. Just recently, as I'm editing this video, you have a crash in Brazil of a satellite attached to, what do you guess? A balloon. Here's a clip.
Grande sapor. Eso es que también tú.
Alguém tem uma faca aí na cinta? Vamos puxar ele pra lá?